All right. Mrs. C, thank you for taking the time to meet with me. As you know, my name is Benjamin Gwynn, and I am a candidate for Educational Leadership Program at ASU. And currently one of my classes is we are doing a study on parent engagement for the school and classrooms. So I'm just going to ask you some questions. I'm not going to identify you in this recording. I'm just going to call you Miss C. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
All right. And you do have a student that goes to the current high school, correct?
Yes.
All right. And if at any point that you need to stop the interview or you need to take off, just let me know and I will stop it. Okay?
Okay.
So, very first thing is, can you just describe your feelings about the school?
Academically, it's getting there. Socially, it still needs work.
What do you mean academically it's getting there?
Academically, it's picking up in terms of the content that's being taught and what the expectations are for students in the classroom. They're setting standards now that students can meet and see, and I as a parent can go in and see what they're working on and the curriculum and what they're doing, and so I can see what's actually happening. One of my concerns moving out here was the fact that it is a different educational expectation than where I'm from.
So, in terms of, let's just score it as 1 out of 5, where would you say the current school that your student is at rates?
3.5.
3.5. And based off your prior knowledge of where you came from, where would you say that school is at?
5.
5. So, would you say that it's just academics or is it culture? What do you think?
All of it.
All of it.
It's the parent expectation of students, as well as the school expectation of students, as well as what is taught in the schools and the actual culture of the school.
Why do you think that is?
Where we were before, every single parent had higher education. Like, it wasn't a question in anyone's mind that 100% of the graduating seniors were going to go to a 4-year college. The culture was understanding that everyone is in the same boat. Everyone has the same academic stresses. Everyone has the same social stresses. So everyone kind of gets it. So, like, there wasn't any stealing.
Now, you mentioned something, and I'm kind of curious about this. You said that there was that expectation with the students where you came from that everybody was going to go to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So, here at the current school that your student is enrolled at, do you feel that the school provides that opportunity? Do they have that connection with the students to say, hey, we want you to go further, or is it just we want you to get the high school diploma and then stop?
It feels like high school diploma, and then they kind of wash their hands of you.
Okay. Now, how would you rate the communication between the school and yourself?
The school and myself is okay. The teachers and myself are phenomenal.
Now, I'm going to ask you 2 different questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to expand on either one, however you want. Why do you say that the school is okay, but teachers are phenomenal?
So the school itself, I don't hear from that much in terms of communication. It's if there's something that's going on like an emergency basis that I hear from the school. From the teachers, I hear weekly what's going on in the classroom, what the expectations are, what they're learning, what they're going to be learning. So in terms of what the teachers are telling me versus what the school is telling me, there is a disconnect in terms of how much communication I get, because I do receive infinitely more and more specific information from the teachers than I do from the school.
Okay. How would you feel that the school could improve on that?
Newsletters, like weekly newsletters of what's going on at the school. Maybe like reminder emails of certain events that are happening or major school functions that are happening, beyond just the social aspect.
Now, do you know if the school has a email blast that gets sent out every week or not?
They do not.
Maybe not. Okay. Do you feel like the school's presence in the community is viewed as good? They're just there, or it's bad?
I think it depends on who you talk to in the community. For those that have students there, it's great. It's spoken of very highly. For those that don't, it's kind of ostracized a little bit, just based on the standards of the school.
Now, standards of the school, would you say that you're familiar with the mission and vision statement of the school?
No.
Are you aware that we have a mission and vision statement?
Yes.
And it just hasn't been communicated to you?
No. Not in a way that I would remember.
How do you think the school can improve on getting that to you to where we are focusing on that to improve the student culture?
Have the students know it. Have the students memorize it. Because if the students know it, then they will live it, and thereby the parents will absorb it. So like, I know my high school's motto, creed, expectations, and I haven't been in high school for almost 2 decades now, but I still know my high school's stuff, and it's because we had to memorize it.
Now, how do you think the school could go about having their students memorize it?
Kind of like the Pledge of Allegiance. You just start in a class, and there's homeroom, and they could just start one sentence at a time. By the end of the year, their freshman year, they know it, and they can move on, and it'll still be in there for the majority.
Okay. Now, along with the mission and vision statement, do you attend any of the after-school activities, like any of the sporting events or the arts events?
Yes.
And how are those perceived by you?
Sporting events are kind of their own culture. They have their own expectations, which is usually set by other parents. But any of the other after-school activities are amazing, and we love going to them.
So what makes it so amazing to you?
The teachers care. The teachers know the students and their work, and will walk with you and explain things to you because they know who you are. And it's not a blank name with a blank face. It's personalized.
That sounds pretty cool. So, do you feel that the school is meeting the needs of your student? And then, do you feel that the school is meeting the needs of all the students in the community?
No and no.
Can you explain?
Like specifically, my child has severe ADHD, like very severe. He is medicated, but there is still the issue of focusing in class. His school has denied him a 504 multiple times. They have denied the meetings for a 504 or an IEP multiple times. And if it's happening to my child, then it is happening to other kids.
How do you feel that we can improve on that other than approving a 504?
Listening to the parent, understanding that the parent does know the child, and especially like with me, I've done my research, I've done my homework, I've talked to experts, I've looked at all of this from every angle, and I mean, I had him tested 5 independent times before I even went to the school and said this is his diagnosis. And when the school blows you off, it tends to feel like I don't know what I'm talking about, when I think I do, especially when it comes to him.
Now, with your student, have you talked to anybody else in the district, or have you just stayed local at your school?
Just stayed local at my school.
Have you thought about moving up the chain of command?
No.
And do you feel that it is the counselors blowing you off, the school psychologist?
All of it.
All of it.
I had the school psychologist tell me that it is not necessary at this time.
Okay. All right. Now, what do you think that the school can do better in terms of everything that you've discussed so far?
Having designated team members to assess those situations, as opposed to someone who is at the school twice a week and doesn't know the kids and doesn't know the students. And I know that's like funding that most schools don't have, but having someone that's willing to listen and then advocate for my child.
Now, on the same lines, do you feel that the school has gotten better since the COVID-19 pandemic, worse, or kind of just moving along?
So his school kind of ignored COVID-19. They never went online. They stayed in person the whole time. So it hasn't really gotten worse, but there hasn't been any improvement.
So do you think that we here are managing it better?
I mean, there's always room for improvement.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to change gears a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to ask some prying questions.
Go for it.
So, has anyone at the school ever sought your insight on the needs of the community?
No.
Would you like for someone at the school?
Not necessarily. Not me specifically. I don't have time.
Would a survey be beneficial for you?
Probably.
Okay.
It would make me feel heard.
So, you would like to have a voice, but just you can't have like an actual sit down like they have board meetings.
More of a passive voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what are some of your strengths as a parent?
What do you mean?
How do you get your student engaged?
So I'm from California. Therefore, I have been told I have crunchy granola California parenting styles. And so a lot of my child being engaged is active communication with my child. So we sit down and we have a conversation, and he tells me what he learned that day in the class and what his homework is, and then we go through the homework together, where I can explain and he can hear it, and then he reiterates. So it's a lot of communication, a lot of work on my part, but in terms of my specific circumstance with my child, it works best for him because it allows him to pause and take everything in and understand what's going on. And especially with his ADHD, he is able to retain the information more when he goes through it several times.
Okay. That's good. So, next question is, what are your expectations of your student in high school and after high school?
My expectations of my child are that he is going to succeed academically in high school. Not necessarily in every subject. I know I didn't succeed in every subject, but that he is going to do well and that he is going to go on to a 4-year institution.
Okay. That's good expectations.
Is it okay if we pause?
Yeah. Can we pick up in a little bit?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.